as we will be going through the hike in honor. Um, in St. James, due to COVID, we haven't got the chance to do our physical hike in honor. However, we are hoping that COVID goes away a little soon so that we can do the full completion of this honor, because it has a theory and it also carries a practical section to it. What I want for us to understand is that we are not only taking information as master guides, but we are also taking the information to lead our young people. So we're not only taking it for our lives, but we're taking it to lead the young ones that will be assigned in our care and under our care. Pacing, speed, rest, and etiquettes that we should have as a hiker while going through. And the first one is, whenever we have hikers, like more than one set of persons hiking on a trail, then there are rules and regulations that we do go by. And it is that if the trail is very narrow, then the group that is larger will have the right of way. Or if the trail is narrow and two groups are going along, then the group that is going up the hill has the right of way. So there needs to be no fuss, there needs to be no fight. As master guides in training and as master guides, we can now establish this rule that if you should be on a trail, then there's someone that has a right of way. Just as when you're physically driving a car or a vehicle, then someone always have the right of way. Next is that hikers enjoy the silence and the solitude of their surroundings. And this is one thing that we had gone through in camping skills, that as master guides or MITs in training, then we do not behave like hooligans. We ensure that we carry the good Christian deportment wherever we go. And as such, we always put away the loud noise, the shouting across the field to our members when we are going on hike, because hiking is a very sacred thing, and we need not the entire community, the entire parish to know that we are actually out there in the wilderness or going through the bushes and hiking. So we also do that. So if you have that attitude as a Christian, as a MIT in training, then it is something we need to put behind us whenever we are going to a hike. Hikers sometimes trespass on other person's property. As we hike, we do not only stay on roads, we go through hills, we go through valleys and persons' lands. As when we went through the camping skill honor, we always say that if there is a gate, we will use the gate. If it is that there is not a gate and we have to go over by the instructor or the person who is leading the hike, stating that we have to go over a fence, we'll go over the fence right at where the column is, because we do not want to damage anybody's property. The same rule apply for hiking. If we have to trespass, then the trespass permission must be given by the ground commander or the person who is giving the instruction to lead out the hike, and stating that yes, it is a land that we can go on, or we'll be taking that pass. Shortcuts, as master guides, we know nothing called shortcuts. The trail that is set is a trail that we will always follow and always continue through with. Tree branches or vegetation often hang low. And for all of us who think we're kids or we are child at heart and we like to play, then on hiking we do not play. So your friend may be walking behind you and you feel like you must just pull the tree limb and let it go on him or on her. No, as MIT in training, as master guys in training, and as leaders upcoming, we don't want that anyone to do that to us, does not do it to anyone. We will also have pathfinders and adventurers who will take out. And there is always one pathfinder or adventurer who the devil normally find to work on. Be vigilant and ensure that they do not pull back the tree limb that they may pass while going through and damage another person that is on the trail that you're hiking. And as we go through communities, as we go through the terrains that we travel, it is okay to say good morning. It is okay to say good night. It is okay to greet persons. However, what is not okay is to answer the question, where are you going? Or what mission are you on? As master guide in training and as leaders, we never disclose where we're going to anybody at all on the trail. There is no one who has the authority to ask you where you're going. If it is that you feel like it is someone in authority who is asking you that question, then please direct them to the leader who is assigned to your group or to the leader who is assigned to the hike. Because there's always a master guide, rather, if you're having a hike, be it from a club level, be it from a parish level, then there must be someone in charge, and there are rules and protocols that govern planning and going to a hike. And by right, you must have permission, and your leader assigned should be able to give those questions. So if a police or a soldier, be it in plain clothes, they ask you and you fear giving that information, please direct them to the leader who is assigned to the hike, and do not take it upon yourself to give information. No matter if you're your friend, it is not okay for you to disclose any information that is out there. And it is not considered to be rude. Just ensure that whenever you're asked, you answer in a mannerisable way so that it does not affect the hike that we'll be having. The 7 leave, no trace principles. And these are things that we memorize, and these are things that we need to know, right? We need to plan ahead and prepare for our hikes. Travel and camp on durable services. And I want one because I'm not sure what as master guides I've been on. I think it was a hike, or I'm not sure if it was a wolf camp or environmental camp that I was on, and we were on a hike, and we came up on a body of water. There was nowhere to go around. There was nowhere to turn back. The only option that was there is to go through. As master guides in training, would we consider that to be a durable surface for master guide and master guides in training? Yes, it is a durable surface because we know that you'll not sink, so you have to go through it. Being the leader, being the master guide, taking your pathfinders, if it is that there is a puddle of water, I trust that you do not tell the pathfinders to go around. And I'm not talking about rushing water, river coming down, and you're going to take the person's children through it, or you're going to go through it and put persons at risk. We are talking elements that we could actually go through. So we are not only talking about carpet grass, We are not talking about Highway 2000 road, but we are talking about rough surfaces, and we're also talking about durable surfaces. Dispose of waste properly. Master guides in training, Christians, I don't think there's a point that we need to touch on, because as Christians, we are all clean persons. And we need to ensure that as we always learn as Christians, we always leave the place better than how we got it. So we will take that principle with us. Next one is leave what you find. And whenever I get to this part, the point that always comes to my mind is the females. Sorry for picking on you females, but sometimes when females go out, there's a nice little flower that you see, or red plant that you see. There's a yellow one that you don't have at home. There's a nice pink one that you've never seen. And yes, you need to go with me. As master guides, that's not a part of our principle. Leave what you find wherever you find it, because it is not yours, and you should not take it up. Camping fire. If you haven't done camping skills, then we all have an understanding of what impact fire can have. Minimize the campfire. If you don't have to make a campfire, don't make it. If you make it, take every precaution there is. Ensure there's no dry leaves beside. Ensure that when you finish with the fire, you can put your hand on the ground where the fire was lit and take up the dirt that is there. If you are not able to take it up, then the fire is not completely out. And as master guides in training, we never leave any sign that we had light a fire there. So we should always remove every evidence that a group of persons hiked through here, or a group of hungry belly people went there last night and then cooked some food, and this is what they left. They cook dumpling, and then cook baked bean, and we have a mackerel, and then say everything that we cook there. As master guides, we never leave evidence, and we do not leave anything that will show that we were at the place of where we are. Respect wildlife. Animals have feelings too, and we need to have respect for them. Be considerate of visitors. Who is our visitor? Visitor is anyone that we come in contact with. Persons who are in their homes because they're walking past houses. Be considerate that we may be hiking and it may be 12:31 in the morning, and maybe the area we're going through, these persons are used to people that make up noise in their head at that time of the morning. So be considerate of your surroundings. Be considerate of the visitors that we have in our surrounding and as we go along. All right, so our most precious part of our body to the hike is our feet. And with having our feet, then it must be clean, and we must take care of everything on our foot. And you don't need to be fit to do a hike. You just need to be mentally ready to do a hike. And proper footwear is one of the most important things. Proper footwear. So from camping skills, you'll have learned that when we're going to camp, we don't buy one shoes the day before, the week before, and we're going to camp. The same thing goes for hiking. It doesn't matter if you're getting it at Western Sports, one of the brand name stores that will give you good shoes, or you're ordering it online and it's coming from one of those best shoe store, we still need to ensure that the shoes that we're going to wear is worked in. So it's not something that you buy Thursday and decide to wear go hike on Friday or on Saturday night after church or Sunday for club morning program. That shoes will fail you. It will fail you in the sense that it may be too tight, may start rub your foot, or you may even dry rotten. So we'll have to work in that shoe for it to be comfortable. Ensure the shoes that you have helps your ankle. So I don't think I should be telling MITs that spike heel can wear on hike. Stilettos cannot wear on hike. As master guys in training, then these are simple things that we should know. And the slippers is not compatible for a hike either. For me, the best suggestion is a sport shoes. One that is light and one that is closely on your feet. If you're comfortable in boots and you can wear boots, then that is up to you. But ensure that the shoes that you wear, it is comfortable for all environment, be it dry and be it wet. Dry feet. If you have dry feet, bring an extra socks with you on the hike that you can change if they get wet. Hiking in wet feet will soften the skin and this will lead to blisters. And I can tell you that's a very rough situation when it comes down to you having a blister. Nail care. Master guides and for the who should know that long toenail and shoe don't work. They don't work for when you're in slippers. So if it is that you have long toenails, then please cut them before you actually put your foot in the shoes, so that you do not develop a tear nail or tear skin. And we should all know how that feels, because I think everybody go through that experience of how having a tear nail actually affects us. If it is that you're on a hike and we should ever have a blister, or maybe you want to know how a blister comes by, then a blister comes by when water start touching the skin, or maybe you have soft skin and it starts to rub against the shoes, then it starts to strip off. And to be walking for a mile or 2 miles, then that get very irritative and get very uncomfortable. So if you're on a hike and this ever happen to you, then what do? As master guys in training, then we always have a plan. Although we don't walk with our entire house to be out for 2 or 3 hours, but we always have a plan to fix if we have anything that happened to us while we are out of our houses. And we need to take this through life. Always have small things that can help us while we go through our daily lives. So if it is that we get a blister or we feel a blister coming on, if you have duct tape, that will work. If you have a piece of tape, that will work. But try not to remove the skin. Cover it up, put on back your socks, and go with it. What you're trying to prevent is to stop the actual skin from rubbing on the shoe itself. So you'll not be feeling pain as much as when the raw skin is touching your shoes. What if it is that you have a blister and maybe start developing to a wart? Then you can decide to burst it, but how? What you'll do is get a sterile pin. And how do we sterile a pin? Most of us should know this. We will just run the pin through through fire. So we may have our lighter, we may have a matches, and then we light it, and then we can burst it. But as always, do not remove the skin so that it will cause an extra pain or anything else to us. Right, so now we'll move on to the next slide. Proper clothing that should be worn on a hike in both hot and cold weather. So one thing I want to say is that no matter how you leave home and think that the temperature that you start home at is the same temperature you're going to complete at, then I guarantee you that is not true. For those who are normally out late sometimes, then you know that when you catch 12:30 to 1, it's a different temperature. And some of you may hear me saying 12:31 quite a few times. As master guys in training, then our hikes are not only done at daytime. We do have nighttime hikes, but we normally start at 8 o'clock, and normally the last person will reach at 1 a.m. in the morning. So we are going through more than one weather patterns. In Jamaica, we can cater for the warm weather because us as Jamaican, we don't know our name cold. One time when Christmas started, everybody put on sweater. Our little one cold friend come across, everybody about the time cold. As Jamaicans, we don't know cold. So we are basically in the warm weather section for clothing. And most of our stores, they do sell warm weather clothing. So as the weather change, we need to adjust how we go through. So for warm weather, what we'll need thick socks, we'll need jeans, we'll need a light shirt, which is a long sleeve and a short sleeve, a hat, and a boots. And boots can be interchanged with shoes, right? And then we go over to cold weather. For cold weather, it's just a bit more different, where you will choose the choice of material that you wear, as the material may keep you much warmer, because the warmer your body is, the more better it will function, right? So we normally suggest that for cold weather, we would wear more wool clothing rather than cotton, because wool stays warm even when it is wet. Your outer layer should be windproof, as this greatly increases the warmth of your clothing. Also, in cold weather, what you can do is dress in layers. Dress in layers means that you add from a pants, a jeans pants, you add a skirt, and you continue adding layers of clothing that will eventually keep you warm. And what I've learned is that if your ears and your nose is warm, then your fingertips are warm, then your entire body will feel warm. And that is something that you can test. I've tested and it has proven to work. So dress in layers and choose your clothes wisely when you're going out. So those sleeveless, you may be walking and it's a hot night and you decide to take off your jacket and keep on the spaghetti strap. No. Men, you decide to keep on the marina. No. As master guides, we wear clothes while going out, and always have on full clothing while going out. So dressing in layers or removing layers when it gets too hot does not mean that we'll ever go down to a spades shop or we'll ever go down to a marina. So we need to always take that into consideration. Sleepwear, because you may get time to sleep. For comfortable sleeping and for modesty on overnight trips, bring pajamas, a sweatsuit. In many places where it is warm during the day, it gets cold at night. So dress for the weather. And if you realize the PowerPoint does not carry anything that says skimpy clothing. So we are dressing for the occasion and we are always fully covered in any and every situation.
She's asking Javon, um, so what about the nighttime hiking when the weather changes? Are we supposed to dress for the cold weather that we know will come, or dress for the warm weather that we will start in? So it's a case where the weather changes. How do they dress for it?
All right. So with the weather changes, you dress up according to the weather, because I guarantee you that at the start of the hike, at the meeting, at the devotion, you'll be very normal. You're not gonna feel it at all. But as you go and it gets later in the night, then you will start feeling chills maybe when you stop. So at that time, you'll start add clothing so that you start to keep your body much warmer. And I hope that answers your question. So as you go along through the hike, you'll make the adjustments to get more comfortable as
So,
you go along.
so are you saying, Javon, that we need to prepare for any kind of weather when going on a hike?
Yes, always be
In,
prepared for any weather. And I'm kind of answering Christian Berkeley, because in preparing for the weather, I've seen persons carrying suitcases, and I'll get to that a bit later. But in preparing for the weather and preparing for a hike, we only take a backpack as we go on these journeys. So next is list of needed
Before
gear
before
for
you
long
move
day
on,
hike. Yes,
before you
Keisha.
move on, Javon, sorry, there is another question in the chat room. This question is coming from Damian Williams. He's asking, in planning, should we ensure we have a nurse on board?
In planning, should we have a
Should we
nurse on
ensure we have a
board?
nurse on board when we're planning our hikes?
From a planning perspective, yes, we always have a nurse on board. And I will go through the planning strategy that as master guides, as future club directors, that we should have in place for doing a hike, because it is not just saying to a couple of master guides, we need to walk from point A to point B. There are plans that we need to put in place, and I'll go through that routine before we go through. But a nurse must be on board when going along. But in putting a nurse on board, that does not mean that our master guides are not going to take the necessary precautions to take their necessities that they need. And a necessity, I mean a first aid kit.
Okay, all right. So another question from Charmaine Thompson. How do we plan for rain?
How do we plan for rain?
Yes.
We plan for rain by getting wet. That's the only thing that you can do. In planning for rain, if you have asthma, then you need to let your leader and instructor know that I have asthma and rain does affect me. That case, then you will need to break the hike at that moment, and then other plans will be made for you. But if you want to carry an umbrella, You can take your raincoat, and that is you planning for the rain. But the next best option is for you to get wet. And you're putting me down the road to answer the question of what do we put in a camping, in a hiking bag. And we'll
Yes.
get to that as we go forward.
Right, leading up to that. But I think in essence, what you're saying, the best plan is to condition your mind that you're going to get wet.
When we plan for a program as master guides, any outdoor program that is, we plan for rain, we plan for sun, we plan for wind, we plan for storm. And we plan how we will maneuver all of these because we plan to go, enjoy ourselves, and go back home to tell the story of how we enjoyed ourselves at that event. So as master guides in training, that's the mindset that we need to have. We plan for all weather conditions, we execute, and after that, we tell a good story of how we maneuver the condition that we had faced over that hike or over that event that we had.
All right, excellent, Javon.
All right, thank you. So I'll move to the next point. List of needed gear for a long day hike in the wilderness and a short country hill. So this is a lengthy list that we have of things that we may want to have while going on a hike. And you can take a good look at them. Some of them we may need, some of them we may want. So take a good look at them. Some persons may be writing, some may be taking screenshots of it. So from this list, we can decide the things that we need. And I know we have persons from each parish, and I'm hoping, I'm not sure if Asia or Berkeley can decide who is from each parish, but I'm going to ask one person from each parish to choose from this list or give me additional stuff that you'll add to a overnight hiking trip. So the scenario is that you'll be doing a 6-hour hike from point A to point B, and you need to pack your bag for yourself and 5 pathfinders. So with the list in front of you, I want you to give me the things that you take out of it and what you'll need to add to your list.
All right, so I am seeing now a Kadisha Spencer. I thought I saw Daniel Morris earlier, but I'm seeing Kadisha Spencer, so we'll take Kadisha.
Yes, Kadisha Spencer from St. James.
Okay, Kadisha, can you pack your bag for me, please?
Yes. I have water bottle, medication in case of allergies for the pathfinders are my medication. First aid kit, warm clothes in case the temperature changes, snacks and water for the pathfinders and also for myself. Insect repellent because it's night and insects come out at night. Extra socks because not all pathfinders will know what to bring or they may forget what to bring, so you have to have backup for them. Flashlight and batteries if the flashlight uses batteries, and a map, lighter or matches, wipes or tissue. That's all I have for now.
That's all you have.
Yes.
Right. Good going. I don't want to discuss as yet. Let me hear what Hanover, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth has.
All right, so while Andavia is getting herself ready, Javon, there are some responses in the group. So I see one person indicating that sleeping bag should be added. Allergic medication should also be included.
Okay, so that person is assisting with St. James response.
Right.
That's accepted.
All right, one
next
person.
parish.
This person is from Westmoreland. A person is saying that you need to be careful with purchasing and administering medication to pathfinders. We should encourage them to bring their own medication with them. And that is
so true.
Yes.
And I have that on my list to discuss after I've heard from the 4 parishes, because I feel like if I do one parish, then the next parish may get all of them right. So
right.
let me take all the parishes, just all pack our bags.
All right, so MITs, come on, please respond.
All right, so Daniel Morris.
I think basically I'm seeing most of the things that I would include in the hiking. So I will just reaffirm those things that I'm already seeing.
All right,
so I don't have anything right now that I would add. It's coming to mind.
All right, then, no problem. And Daniel, where are you from? Which part you're representing?
Westmoreland.
All right, so we need to hear from St. Elizabeth and Hanover. All right, so we don't have any representative from that parish tonight. All right, so let's continue. St. James, the water bottle that you carried, there was no water in it. Not sure where you're going to get water from, but there was no water in it. I realized you packed a lot of medication, and I was wondering if you were carrying kids with a lot of ailments, because I realized you packed your first aid kit and you pack about 2 other sets of medications. As was said, that medication should always be administered by the nurse, and for persons who are sickly, they are always encouraged to carry their own medication. Not even the Panadol that sell over the counter. We should not take it upon ourselves to give anyone at all, because we do not know their reaction to it. Snacks. I have an issue with snacks, because when it comes down to snacks, one banana chips, and one duplex biscuit or one peanut biscuit cannot take you fully through a hike. So I like specifics. So it needs to be nutritional. On this list of items, then we have a trail mix that will work. Peanut works. So we need to also be cognizant of that fact. I realized no one said compass, rather. I think it was Westmoreland who did the wise thing and chose everything. But compass and a map of the area is also important. As master guides in training, you must always have or know the area that you're going. Not because we walk through it every day or we have gone there to scout the area means that we know the area, but we must always have a map, and that must always be shared with your leadership or the leaders who will be going through the hike with you, right? So everything that is on this is very important. Some of them as master guide we won't take, maybe a moleskin that replace the duct tape. So the duct tape can replace that. When you're packing, we now take up the antibiotic ointment. Wipes, we'll take up the wipes. And everything else we may carry. But in first packing, first aid kit. A first aid kit is very important. What is a first aid kit? A first aid kit is not something that should be big and heavy. If you're going as a master guide, a set of master guides, if you're going to your pathfinders, your first aid kit can be very small, but ensure that all important things are in there. The little roll-on bottle, the roll-on bottles that we have, things for your first aid kit can hold in that. You can even split up the things amongst master guides or amongst your pathfinders of what they need to take, so that if anything should happen on your trail, you actually know where to get them, and they're actually on the trail with you, and you know where to find them. So that is something that we need to take notice of. Ensure that we have everything and we know where to find them, because as leaders, it should never, ever be our responsibility that as leaders we're taking everything. If that is your responsibility, then that means you have not been effective in planning. And to let you know, on hiking, you're the leader, and your husband, your best friend, those things are put aside when you go on a hiking trail. As a master guide or as a leader, your aim is to complete the hike and ensure that everybody reaches from point A to point B safe and sound without any damages being done to them. So as master guides in training, as leaders, we take friendship and we put family aside. It is serious business. Not saying that you cannot have fun on the trail, but it is serious business when we take the route of a hike. 5 safety courtesy rules to be used in wilderness trail and road hiking. So as we have wilderness, do not destroy the flora or the fauna, flowers. Finish what you have started. Dispose of trash properly. If no disposal facilities are available, pack out what you pack in. So if there is no fireplace available, just carry back everything go yard or to the nearest location where a dump is. Always follow and obey the rule of your leaders. Stay together with your group and don't stray. I say this for more than one reasons. Straying. In a hike, they're normally broken up into groups. And I'm going to tell you, if you're not fit, if you feel like you're fast, if you feel like you exercise every day, don't be the one to always be at the head. If you reach first or you reach last, you will still get to the end of the trail. Your aim is to ensure that you get there. Do not overexert yourself. Do not push yourself because Monday right behind the leader. As you reach, me need for reach because I want to get all the rest and get more sleep for the rest of the night. Or you just feel like enough and you want to run ahead. No. Stay together. As master guide, the hike is as fast as the slowest person. I'm not telling you to be slow. nor try to be slow, but set your pace. Know your pace that you can manage and walk at your pace. Because if you try to keep up, you'll get tired very fast, and then that will push you not to want to continue, not want to end, and will add stress and strain. Stay with the group. We may see a shortcut and we say, but look how it look short just to go through the part there. But we never know so one wall went down there, or one bag wire went down there, or one cow went down there, and we go end up in that situation. Stay on the track. It may be longer, but it will be worthwhile. And this is something that we need to inherit as master guides and as leaders as we lead our pathfinders. Respect both public and private property. Do not trespass. Have a good sense of humor. So the journey may be long, but you will make it. There'll be rest stops. There'll be time you get to catch up with your friend, crack a joke or two so that you can have a little more energy or more zeal to be on the trail. Yes, it's all a part of the hiking experience. It's not a life and death situation. It's just to make us stronger. Help others with their necessities. Help others with their necessities. This is a very hard one to digest, because some persons think that they need to carry the entire supermarket from a camp. Food is important. Not going to say food is not important, but by the time you start a walk for 5 minutes, it gets heavy. And me know me your friend, but does that mean that me must carry your burden and go up a hill? It is always wise that we pack what we need and not what we want. And as I always say in my camping skills class, once we start hiking, we are no longer friends. It doesn't matter how best of friends we are, then we are no longer friends, because I'm not going to struggle with your stuff. Although we may get one drinks and one peanut outside, but it's bag still live upon my back and still live upon my shoulder. Do unto others what you want them to have do unto you. So carry the things that you need. All that you need, you should be able to carry it on your back. Do not play games that can hurt others. And we have discussed this already previously in this honor, that we all need to get safe to where we are. And these are the good rules that and courses that we need to observe while doing a wilderness and a hiking trail. Any questions, any concerns on the courtesy that was just shared?
All right, yes, Javon, there's a question in the chat. The person is asking for you to explain, finish what you start.
Finish what you start?
Yes.
If you start the trail, you have to finish it. As master guides in training, as master guide, as leaders, we encourage nobody to go halfway. We allow nobody to start the journey, see one car or one bus or their friend, and then go drop them at the location. That's not a part of our journey. As master guides, once we pray and the leader said we are on our way, that means you've started. And if you start it, by right, you must finish it. Doesn't matter if it will take you 2 or 3 more hours that the first group will reach, but if you start, your aim is to get to the end. And as master guides, we in training and as master guides, we carry each other. So I don't want you to look at this as a soldier or a cadet or rough training. It is not. We take you through the process and ensure that you get there. So we're not going to say, come on, I need to walk up. You may get that a few times, but it is for your own good. We're not going to push you aside. We're not going to leave you. But we want you to have the momentum, the discernment to say, yes, I started at 8 p.m. and I am going to end it at 2 a.m. Or I will finish as long as it does not affect my health. So that is what finish what you start means. Any other questions or concern, Madam President?
Question here. Yeah, question here.
Go ahead, Damien.
As a master guide going on a hike, what if my brother, close relative, is walking on the hike and decide not to listen or obey me as the leader? How should I relate to such matter? The fact that is my relative, and you don't want to deal with certain things at this spot. How would you relate? I recommend that you relate to your relative at the spot at the time.
All right, so Damien, you're the leader for the hike?
Yeah, man. So I'm leading it, and my brother might be disobeying the orders or the rule that governs the hike. How would you relate to such? Because as you know, whenever you're relating to your immediate family, sometimes it doesn't send a signal that that the person needs to move or obey because they think that, boy, this is a family matter.
All right, so my suggestion is that we need to decide on principle first and good Christian behavior. Since it is that you as a leader know that you may have issues and you know that it is family, the hike must have other leaders. And at first, we will never put our issues or unchristian-like behavior to prevail in any situation whatsoever it is. So as a leader, and I want to say an effective and good leader, we will put self aside, put Christ first, or call another member of the committee who you think is able to deal with the situation, and you do not try to take that situation in your hand and let it explode more into a worst case scenario that will leave a sad taste on the hike.
Okay, yeah, man. I really like what you said. In the fact that you might have other leaders, because sometimes you don't want to relate to those matter direct and the spot. So very good.
Okay, thank you, God. I could have answered your question. All right, so next on the agenda, and this one normally come across a bit touchy.
I have a question for you, move on.
Go ahead, Kadisha.
Yes. What if we are on a trail, right? And we enter onto a private property, and we only notice that we're on a private property when we have already entered. Do we continue the trail, or do we turn back, or?
How did you end up on the private property? Kadisha?
We are just on the trail and we stumbled upon the private property. Say we have a map, but it was not on the map that we have.
All right, so in hiking procedures, the area is normally scouted by a scouting team, and they would have asked permission of the location that they're going to enter on if they can. If it is that I'm thinking from the perspective that you entered on that private property by you turning off the trail, or you got lost. If you got lost, then you need to, rather by right, you should not have been lost. You should have stayed on the trail to continue on your path. However, all private property, in quotation, permission is always given or requested before the actual hike is being done. So if you should go on a site and see the sign, trespassers will be prosecuted, then the leader assigned to the hike would have done their research and see if permission is granted to go through that property. At that time, yes, it would have been given. If it was not given, then the leader of the hike would not have taken that route to lead the master guides through that route. Did that answer your question, Kadisha?
Okay, thank
All right, I think
yes, it did. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome, Kadisha.
But there was a comment that says that the trail should be mapped beforehand. I think you alluded to that a while ago as well.
All right, thank you. And a trail is normally mapped for the hikes that us as master guide plan. What us as master guide in training need to do is ensure that we read and we understand the trail that is being given and follow the leaders, because if we are traveling with 100 master guide or MITs, then there are actually no less than 5 leaders that are in that group who would have either gone on the trail or the trail was explained to them before they go through. So as master guide in training, then we need to take the route of understanding the trail that would have been sent to us, or if you have questions, you ask about it before, once it is that you would have gotten it before the hike would have started. So now we're at the importance of drinking water and 3 signs of contaminated water. So if nothing is living in the water, if you cannot find any signs of life in the water, it is very likely to be unfit for drinking. If plants and animals cannot live in the water, it may contain poisonous chemicals. And the opposite of this is true. If it is that you find living organism in the water, that means the water is healthy for consumption. We may frown, we may wonder, but if we get in the situation that we get somewhere and there is living organism in the water and we have no other option, then we will drink it. And I can guarantee you that if you do, it will not do you anything at all. But the moment you find that everything in that water is dead, then that water will do more harm to you than good for your body. Oil and film on surface. Runoff from roadway can deposit petroleum-based oil in the water. If you see a rainbow slick on the surface, this is a sign of pollution. Foul odor. If the water smells bad, it will also taste bad. But the damage caused by drinking it may well be extended amongst our taste bud. Right? So those are 3 simple ways. It is much harder to digest the water we have in a drum over much months, and we see little insects in there and we throw it off because we say no good. But if it comes a time or we're at a location as master guide, as MITs, and we have our pathfinders, if it is that it is the only water there and you need it, take it, bless it. If you have the time to boil it, and drink it, and it may save your life. Importance of eating while hiking. We know that we're losing energy and we are going to need energy. And we need to ensure that the food that we eat while on the hike gives us energy and is not giving us energy in 8 hours, but immediate energy. So, and when I say energy, maybe I'm speaking to the converted, but Pepsi, caffeine, Red Bull, boom, are not for us as Christians. We need to utilize other energy stuff that can help us. So maybe glucose, maybe orange, a peanut, and those stuff will affect us. And also nutritional food also. So you look at banana chips and plantain chips and tigers is light in our body to carry and it's good and may eat a feel for. Get a trail snack, get an energy bar, get a granola bar, get something that will take you. And we never ever leave our water. When you're hot, you need more water. And we're not drinking the water. We are sipping the water as you go along because your lip and mouth just need to be wet to give you that boost and that energy to go on. And as we had packed our bags, then we are not taking the big bottle of water. I think it's the 1 liter that we would always walk with, and everything that you carry, be it on your back, includes your sleeping bag, and the water should be comfortable on your back. Your hands should always be free. So ensure that you choose your diet and what you need to take so that your body can be fueled in the right and proper way for the hike so that it can carry you through the conditions that you'll be going through. So it is always important to eat right and to eat the correct stuff while you're going on a hike. And my suggestion is normally to eat before the hike, not much. So you're not gonna eat a big plate of rice and chicken, or for the vegetarian, veggie meat, or 1 whole plate of vegetables, steamed vegetables, and full of self. No. You're going to ensure you eat light to start the hike. Just ensure that when you eat before the hike, you are light and you also are comfortable when you are about to leave out. So if you eat nutritional food, then all you'll need for your hike or on the hike is energy items that will take you through. And then by the time you finish burning off the actual food that you'd have ate before the hike, then you will start your body will start feeding on energy. And by the time you're finished with that, then you're back home and ready for a good meal again. Question: if you were to do a 10-mile hike, tell me 10 things that you will need. Anyone want to take that up? 10 things that you will actually need on a 10-mile hike.
Water is a must.
All right, so that's one. We have water. So only water we're taking.
A flashlight will be important also.
All right, so you're carrying flashlight. Is that a chargeable flashlight? You're gonna have current when you get to the side to charge the flashlight.
No, battery.
All right, good. So that's flashlight. That's
Sure that
battery.
batteries are just bought, so they are strong enough to take you through the journey.
Okay, understandable. All right, so we have two things already. What else do we?
Compass or map.
Compass or map. So we have three things. Compass, water, flashlight. We need 7 more things that is of great importance to a hike, to a 10-mile hike.
A first aid kit.
All right, so we have a first aid kit. So we have 4 things as far, 6 more things that are very important to a hike.
You need some energy snacks, trail mix and peanuts.
All right, so energy bar. So I think it was Assistant Taylor. You'll be having a good bowl of maybe soup or food before you leave home. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 5 more things.
All right, so let me just share from the, let me just share quickly from the chat, Javon.
Okay,
So I'm seeing water,
have that.
power boats, food, proper clothing, backpack, compass, repellent, map, first aid kit. I see a lighter, energy bar, socks, knife.
All right, good. So like everything is in the chat. Is there anyone else who want to share verbally if they had anything else in mind?
Did they say proper footwear?
No, I did not get proper footwear. Good. So we may not be taking it, but it should be taken into consideration if we need it. So we need proper footwear. All right, so like we have packed a good bag for our hike and we are ready to go.
What about persons who can't manage the sun? Would it be appropriate for them to wear something to cover their heads?
So they'll take a hat as necessary. That will also work because maybe they will leave something else out of it. And what I like, I think it was once on this training that somebody mentioned a sleeping bag. I think I like the concept of these master guides in training. They know that sleeping is just a concept, and if you still have this idea in mind, you'll get through very far. That sleeping is not important until you think about it. So I'm glad that in your hiking experience, you're not thinking about sleeping, and only once it was mentioned that a sleeping bag is absolutely necessary. But it is necessary. You can add it under the want. It is not needed because normally we may end up at a location that has a shelter, and with that shelter, it will provide us with option to rest our backs, and we don't need our Posturepedic at the moment to sleep on. So I'm glad where the sleeping bag was added, and you're on your way to being a very great master guide. All right, so we have packed our bag, and the next 3 final things that we'll go through is a map. As master guide, there's a specific map that we use, maybe a big word. We may have seen it for those who have done geography. but it's a map that is called a topographical map. And basically what this big word means is that it's a map that shows the overhead view of the area that you're going. So a topographical map shows the contours of the land, and this map tells us where the hills are, how steep they are. They also show where you can expect to find water or some interesting scenery. A good topographical map will also show roads and also show trails, which is always essential for our hike and hiking planning. And topographical maps can get very detailed. In regards to this picture that you're seeing is a very simple one of how one may look. And I'm sure all you know about this map is that it's a map of Jamaica. We don't know nothing else. Nothing else is explained on it because it's a blank map. But what we need on our map, a map carries something that is called a key. For you to understand the map, you have to understand the key. Because when we're walking or when we're hiking, we will see a church, we will see a bridge, we will pass some water, we'll pass a lot of things. And we need to know how to give direction as master guide. So we can't be writing up Gundabon SDA Church and then you pass Tony Shop and then you're going to write Bashko, then you're going to write Mega Mart. Instead of writing all those names, what you'll do, there are specific signs that are universal that once they see that sign on the map, then they will know that we had passed a church right there, that a bridge was there, and that we had passed some good landmark. As master guides, we need to know how to give directions. And I'll add to that by saying that when it is that we're giving directions, we should always use landmarks. As master guides in training, I do not want to hear us saying, just right around the corner, or after you pass the shop. We need to tell the person that it's a yellow shop. Upon reaching the corner, then you'll see a big stone in the road because the big stones are landmark. Landmarks are something that you cannot miss. And as master guides in training and master guides, we need to be very clear and specific in regards to when giving directions, and knowing the universal signs, whenever we see them, then we will know. And on this item that you're seeing here, then you realize that there are some that are given. All right, so we need to utilize signs and a key. So every map, for us to understand the map, it has to carry a key. And as a part of this assignment, we'll be adding a map. In that map, you need to give a key so that it can be understood, because we do not want to see the writing of the bridge, the church, the school, and all the landmarks that are there. So in additional to the final question, in the reproduction of this honor, we want you to draw a map from the town center to the Seventh-day Adventist church that you attend. So if it is that you're from Montego Bay, rather, if you're from St. James and you attend Hopewell SDA, then you draw from Lusitown to your church. I don't want you to complicate things. You're not going to draw every corner. They're not going to draw every turn, but we need to see the important landmarks that are there that gets you from the town to your church. And that's your church that you worship at or you hold membership at. Do not choose the closest church in the parish because the one that is easier to draw. So the church that you attend is the one that we want. So on your map, it has to be labeled. Your map needs to have a label. It needs to have from point A to point B. It also needs to have the key so that we can understand that there's a bridge that you went over. There was a shop, if you want to use a shop, a very important shop that you pass on your way, the church that you actually did. And we know that we are not all artists, but we're asking for it to be very clear and legible as much as possible. And the final thing is planning a hike. In planning a hike, then research is normally done. So we normally put a scouting team together. We'll maybe scout a month or two before and check the location to see if it is good for hiking. We'll ask for permission from the local police in the area. Let them know that a group of 200 persons will be going through the area on the 15th of July. And we're letting them know, they know our start point, they know our end point. We make contact with the persons that are there in regards to the location that we're going through, and import that these are the important persons or the lands that we may be going through in doing the hike, so that they can know that we need permission to maybe use their land if we have to use their land. The hospital is normally notified, or we normally have persons on standby as a medical team to provide any assistance that is needed for anyone who is on the hike or who is on the trail. There's always a standby vehicle for anything that may happen, worst case scenario. So there's always a plan put in place. You always need to know your start point, your end point as leader, as master guide. Once you're a part of the planning process, you need to have all of these things in place. You need to get permission from the people, and mother and father, of them attending the camp, because we know times are very serious and a child may use camp as an excuse or hiking as an excuse to be out for the night. Permission form is necessary. We also may need to get, or we will need to get, medical information also of the child that you're taking out, of everyone who is on that scout, because you're legally responsible for everyone that is out there. We need to also ensure that the master guide the area coordinator who is in charge of camping and scouting actually knows. So it has to go to the conference. So the area coordinator assigned has to be notified that Goshen Church will be having a hike, and will be hiking from point A to point B, and these are the stipulations. So I don't want us as master guides in training to think that we are just doing an overnight thing. It takes planning, and it takes a lot, and it must go through your church board. Your pastor must approve it, and it is not an overnight thing that you come up and say, we need to do a hike. It takes critical planning, takes a lot of responsibility, And I hope as master guides, as master guide in training, as leaders, that we take this serious and we ensure that we do all things that is necessary in having a successful hike when we have become directors, when we have become youth directors, when we have turned area coordinators. And this brings me to the end of the hike in honor. And if you have any other questions or concerns, I'll be more than happy to address them.
All right, so there's a question, Javon, that was posted in the chat. Going back to an earlier part of your presentation. Just a moment. So the question is, how can you tell if running water is drinkable?
How can I tell if running water?
Yes, so it's asking if the same rules apply as that of dead water. Is it the same rules?
That's a very tricky one. Running water, I'm thinking we can use the three concepts that were given in regards to if there's no film on the water or there's no dead items in the water, then it should be good for consumption, because basically what we don't know will not harm us. Because if it is coming from a stream and God forbid there's a dog that dead way upstream and the water is coming down and we drink it, it will certainly taste nice until somebody tell us that it's contaminated from the top. But once it is that it is running water and we look at it and it looks clean and you have prayed over it, the Lord will let it do to your body or good. Or even if something that you can add to your first aid kit is charcoal. That works, magic, and it will help in the purification of the water. Hope I answered that question clearly.